welcome to the GAMERamble video review for Cubixx HD, narrated by me, Darkcloud. As always, the full text version of this review can be found on the GAMERamble website, linked below. The TLDR for Cubixx HD is that it takes the addictive formula of the old arcade hit Qwixx and brings it into the modern era. The 3D playing field increases the challenge, but the basics can be mastered in no time. Putting up a decent high score and completing the challenge levels takes a bit more practice though, not to mention taking on the online leaderboards. Even when failing repeatedly, the addictive gameplay, stylish visuals and thumping soundtrack will keep you returning for more. Gameplay receives a 9 out of 10. The game is easy to learn but challenging to master, just like a good arcade puzzle game should be. Graphics receives an 8 out of 10. The visuals are not too flashy, but very nice overall. Sound receives a 9 out of 10. This is definitely a game where you'll want to crank the volume up loud. The overall score for Cubixx HD is 8.7 out of 10. And now for the full review. It's impossible to review Cubixx HD without a nod to its forefather, Qwixx, the Taito arcade classic from 1981. Of course, Cubixx HD is not the first title to try and recapture the magic of Qwixx, but it is one of the first to add a whole new dimension to the gameplay. While Qwixx requires players to grab as much territory as possible on a flat surface, the playing field in Cubixx HD is a 6-sided cube. This provides the game some nice visual flair and adds a bit more depth to the gameplay. For players unfamiliar with Qwixx, the gameplay of Cubixx HD is basically a mixture of arcade and puzzle elements. Playing as a Cubot, you must navigate around the edges of a cube and then activate your laser to cut into the sides. Cut away a certain percentage of the cube and you win the level, but there are of course enemies that prevent this from being too simple. While cutting into the cube, your Cubot leaves a line in its wake, which is vulnerable to enemies. If they touch any part of a line still in progress or the Cubot itself, you lose a life and get reset back to one of the edges. Your main enemies, the Cubixx, move around the faces of the cube, so as long as you stick to the edges, you are safe. As the challenge increases at later levels, new enemies start appearing, like the sparks that can actually follow you around by moving along the edges, just like your Cubot. While most enemies will cause instant death when they come into contact with your Cubot or its laser line, a few make things more challenging by slowing you down. Add some environmental hazards like asteroids hitting the cube or black holes appearing, and you'll find that Cubixx HD is quite a frantic game. It's also definitely a game where fortune favors the brave, as making bold moves and taking big risks is the best way to get a high score. On later levels, there's rarely time to stand still and plan your next move, as you're pretty much constantly facing death from all sides. Remaining stationary while in the process of using your laser is also a bad idea, as a fuse slowly follows the line leading to your Cubot and will destroy it on contact. Like another classic, Snake, you cannot touch any part of your own laser line either while cutting. The odds are very much against you, but a couple of things can help you out. First, since the cube is a 3D object, you can create combos by continuing a line from one face of the cube to the next. Only enemies on the same cube face as your Cubot can harm you, so darting between cube sections is a vital skill to learn. Then there are the power-ups that can be collected for abilities, such as a protective shield, faster speed or even frozen enemies. Unfortunately, some power downs can slow your Cubot down or invert your controls when accidentally collected. Despite its relatively low price tag, there is quite a bit of content in Cubixx HD. Initially, you'll spend most of your time with the 50 level arcade mode, where the goal is simply to complete levels while putting up the highest score you can. This mode features a checkpoint every 5 levels, so if you lose all your lives before reaching one, you'll have to redo everything from the previous checkpoint onward again. Challenges on the other hand features a specific goal for each of its 50 levels. These range from completing a level in as few lines as possible or cutting out the largest areas you can to trying to complete a level with reverse controls. When you get stuck with the challenges, you can also take a shot at the time attack, score attack or line attack levels leaderboards. Last is the deathmatch mode, where you can take on your friends. Up to 7 players can square off, but this mode is local only and not online. The same goes for the local multiplayer co-op in the arcade and attack modes. Of course, thanks to Steam Remote Play Together, these modes can also be played online. Visually, the game looks good, but not spectacular. The backgrounds of each level is filled with all kinds of abstract shapes, but your enemies are all simple geometric shapes or glowing dots. There is an advantage to this though, as it ensures that the action is easy to follow and you can identify hazards at a glance. While chipping away at the cube, you'll also uncover the heart inside it, beating in tune with the music, which is a really cool touch. Speaking of music, Cubixx HD features a brilliant soundtrack with plenty of very catchy songs. The electronic music is a great match for the style of the game, and even the dubstep tracks sound good. As the game was previously a PlayStation exclusive, it still plays best with a good controller, but overall we had no problem playing with a keyboard. One minor gripe is the fact that the mouse is required for navigating between menus, despite not being used while playing the actual game. Cubixx HD might not be a new release, but everyone who missed it out on its console appearance should definitely grab it on PC. The gameplay has held up well, and chasing high scores is undeniably addictive. The game is very simple to play, but making a dent in the leaderboards will take a bit of practice. Whether you have fond memories of Cubixx and are looking for a modern update, or simply want an addictive pick up and play title, don't miss out on Cubixx HD. Thanks for joining me for this Cubixx HD PC review. Remember to like, subscribe and share. Until next time.